police officer for the Tacoma Police Department. This message is to the police in DC and other cities that have spineless and tyrannical leaders such as mine. Stop allowing the left and the media to use our profession for political gain. The Freedom Convoy is coming, and you will be tested. If you violate people's constitutional rights due to the orders of some liberal tyrant, conservatives will turn on you, and they absolutely should for you doing so. Let us not forget that conservatives support law enforcement as they realize it is essential to upholding our rights and freedoms as Americans. Please do not repeat what happened in Canada, as it only fuels the liberal narrative, divides our country, and goes against everything America is about. If you are going to stay in the profession, do it honorably. Remember, your oath is ultimately to uphold and support liberty, which is the absolute foundation this country is built upon. Police each other. And now for the fun part. X-ray 144 Tacoma. I'll be signing off for the last time. Just want to say cheers, boys, and let's go, Brandon.
As John Oliver would say, cool. Okay, so the convoys are here. In the US, they waited a couple days, because of the invasion of Ukraine. That was nice of them, but no, they're here. They've hit DC, and what you just saw there was former police officer Robert Hollingsworth. He's apparently already resigned, telling cops, do not listen to any politicians when they ask you to do something radical like enforcing the law or something about these truckers. And I don't know, Francesca, this thing to me reeks of Dave Rubin's Don't Burn This book, where it's like, you're saying you don't want something, but I suspect you want it for PR purposes. No, they are desperately hoping that there will be some sort of massive out of step overreaction to what we're gonna get to is apparently a pretty shui trucker convoy that's hit DC. So,
I gotta look that up.
That's what Jenk always says, where it's like, it's not that impressive, honestly. But anyway, the cop is saying, stand with liberty, don't stand with the tyrants, don't murder all the truckers, which I agree with. But what do you think?
But I mean, this goes back to the entire the rationale why more the violence we've seen against peaceful demonstrators during BLM was not then equally applied to some of the truckers or so-called truckers or trucker adjacent or wannabe trucker or just cultist QAnon conspiracy theorists who were there, because law enforcement knows better than anyone, because a lot of them are in their ranks. Hello, we just saw it. They know that as soon as violence is used, these guys are actually like packing heat. They actually are armed, and they can't wait to use any excuse to start some sort of massive shootout that could kick off, the next civil war or whatever the hell they think they're doing. So it is just really interesting that you see, the left is constantly being told. In fact, this guy is straight up saying the left wants to do this, the radical. But who's actually waiting for that incitement of violence? Who's just chomping at the bit to go? It's always far right wingers.
I mean, you're on the left. Do you not want a massive brawl in the streets of DC?
I mean, I gotta get big before. I need some time. Give me time, John.
To put in the work, get the reps. Yes. No, I'm on the left. I don't want it. Does that count for anything? No, this is just also, look, they watched what was going on in Canada here, the right wing in the US, and they thought, oh my God, this is like the ultimate victim narrative. It's sort of vague. We have this symbol, the trucker, that we can pretend to support. We used to pretend that we supported coal workers, and then they went on protests, so we didn't care. And we used to pretend that we supported cops, and then we tried to kill a bunch of them. What about truckers? We can pretend that we support them. But none of it makes any sense, as we'll get to. Let's give a little bit of the facts on the ground, and then we'll give more of our thoughts about this thing, including more deranged video, by the way, even more deranged than the Let's Go Brandon cop. By the way, really fast, the fact that he's like, I ask you in our final moment to stand with liberty against tyranny. These are the times where men will reveal their true mettle.
Yeah.
Let's go, Brandon. Your little joke,
you're not flying into a spaceship on Independence Day, dude. Calm down.
Yes. hey boys, let's go Brandon. That would have been a good movie. I would watch that. But anyway, so the convoy is coming. There's dozens of trucks along with minivans, motorcycles, pickup trucks, and hatchbacks. Shout out to my hatchback siblings. But anyway, they aim to complete 2 loops on Interstate 495, a 64-mile highway known as the Capital Beltway, before returning to a staging area. So they did this 2 times. They eventually got spread out. Everybody is saying that it's generally a pretty congested freeway anyway, so I'm not sure that anyone noticed. But anyway, they said they didn't want people to drive into the Capitol on Sunday out of fears that some participants could turn it into a chaotic event reminiscent of January 6th. Okay, first of all, I like a little bit of self-analysis and ability to recognize who you are, what your movement is.
Yes.
Wise choice to not send them in, because some definitely would want something like that, whether it would happen or not. But anyway, it is basically dozens of trucks involved in a convoy. Now, there are other convoys that could eventually link up in DC or could spread off to other cities. It might be a kind of disparate sort of movement. They might all coalesce in one thing. But in any event, as of right now, it doesn't look like it's gonna generate the kind of crazy situation that we saw in Canada. And I think they will see that as a massive disappointment.
Yeah, here's an idea of maybe why. Because there are no more COVID restrictions. Because
Good
even
point.
Brandon is like, we all have to go back to work and that's the way it's going to be. And are we putting in all these protections and protocols for if and when there is a new variant? Nah. So are we dropping mask mandates even in blue states, in schools, even with children, even with long COVID? Yes. So what the hell are you actually protesting? Because again, it's this phantom oppression. The mask, the vax card, I don't have anything anymore.
Yeah, look, and that effectively is what the Tea Party was. Ostensibly, it started as some sort of opposition to the debt or something, which we know actually gets regular Americans fired up by the millions. And then just generally became I don't like Obama, I don't like the Dems, which, by the way, you are totally allowed to have a protest movement that either doesn't agree internally about what it's about or isn't really sure generally what it's about. You can be generally opposed to something, and it isn't only the right that does that.
I've been involved in many of those. Trust.
Yeah.
We're like, why are we here? I don't know. We're angry. It's bad.
We're angry. Yes, I would just say, question a little bit why you're mad. If the only reasons you can give are nonsensical, they talk about COVID restrictions that definitely don't exist now and arguably only existed for like 72 hours in March 2020, then you can still be mad, but question why. Question whose interest is it serving that you're really mad? Is it really yours at the end of the day, or is it people who sent you out? Right-wing media hosts that don't want to sit in a truck in DC in the winter for a bunch of days, but would very much like you to, because that makes it seem as if, man, Biden and the Dems are really doing something wrong if there's so much popular opposition to it. Just consider that for a little bit.
Can we just mention though that this is a Tacoma police officer, reminds me of another Washington State, I believe, sheriff or police officer who had a similar sign off, sort of filming himself in his car, making a big stand because of vaccination requirements. And then he left his position, made the right-wing TV rounds. Then he got COVID and I believe died. So that's how that story ended.
Yeah.
He passed away. We actually covered it when you were on my show, The Habituation Room. Yeah, he died. So I wouldn't be surprised if this guy, once again, this is how you use people. He will make the rounds on right-wing media. He'll inflate the convoy. It wasn't just traffic. It was like slower traffic, and then who knows? He'll get COVID. He's probably unvaccinated and he could still die because once again, you can still die from COVID.
For more political news breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/thedamagereport. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.